Hey, fifth graders, we are going to go ahead and start looking at some more complicated fraction multiplication problems, and we're going to go ahead and multiply mixed numbers. The good news is you already have all the skills that you need to be able to do this. It's just a matter of applying or using these skills in a newer way. So remember, when you're multiplying a number by a whole number, because that's what we're going to do first, we're actually going to ease into this by multiplying mixed numbers by whole numbers. When you multiply anything by a whole number, you're creating multiple sets of that other number. So for instance, very basic example, 4 times 5 literally means you're taking 4 sets of multiplication 5. Which is 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, which gives us 20, as we already know. We can use this same idea with mixed numbers. So we're going to use repeated addition. So when we multiply mixed numbers by whole numbers, we can use repeated addition to solve. You already know how to add mixed numbers. So again, you have the skills you already need to be able to do this. So this is going to be 4 sets of 5 1/3. So we're going to go ahead and add 5 1/3 to itself 4 times. So you have 5 1/3 plus 5 1/3 plus 5 1/3 plus 5 1/3. Okay, again, this is review of adding mixed numbers. We are going to add our fractions first. You have 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. This gives you a total of 4/3, which is equivalent to 1 1/3. We're going to go ahead and regroup. We're going to bring that 1 up and around, regroup it with our whole things. 1/3 is going to come underneath. So you got 1/3, 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21 1/3. And you just solved your first multiplication problem with mixed numbers using repeated addition. Let's do another example. So this literally means you have 3 sets of, because it's multiplication, 4 4/5. Let's set this up for repeated addition. So this is 4 4/5. Let me set it up to the side so I have a little more space. 4 4/5 plus 4 4/5 plus 4 4/5. Okay, we already have common denominators, which makes our lives really easy. 4/5 plus 4/5 plus 4/5 gives you a grand total of 12/5. Kind of doing it off to the side so I have more space. 12/5 is equivalent to 5 goes into 12 2 whole times with 2 left over, 2/5. I'm going to go ahead and regroup my whole number with my other whole numbers. This is regrouping, and I'm going to bring my fraction piece underneath. So 2/5 comes down here. 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. So your answer is 14 2/5. So we used our skills we already have, these repeated addition skills, and we already know how to add mixed numbers. There is a shortcut. As always, with multiplication, we don't want to just rely on repeated addition. That's very timely. It's usually the long route. And there are shorter ways to do this. You can use your multiplication skills. So we can actually use our improper fractions to make this process faster and easier. So the first thing we're going to do with this shortcut is that we are going to turn our mixed number into an improper fraction first, using our timesy plusy skills. Okay? Once we have it as an improper fraction, we're going to put our whole number over 1. I'm going to put whole number over 1. So that way we have our problem is set up so that we can then multiply straight across. At the end, turn your answer into a mixed number and simplify if you can. So what we need to do here is we're going to turn this into an improper fraction using our timesy plusy skills. And this gives us, and I'm going to go ahead and put 4 over 1 right now. So that's going to be 4 over 1 times 3 times 5 gives you 15 plus 1 is 16 thirds. Now we multiply straight across, and we get 40 plus 16 is 56 thirds. That is an improper fraction that we need to turn into a mixed number. So we need to see how many times 3 goes into 56. Let's see, 3 goes into 56, 18 times. Let's see. Yep, that gets us to 54. So that's 18, and there's 2 left over because 54 to 56 is 2, remainder 2. And that's our answer. Okay, the next one, we're going to multiply 4 and 4/5 times 3. We need to turn this into an improper fraction. We need to put 3 over 1. So we get 20 times e plus e skills. 20 plus 4 is 24/5 times 3 over 1. Now we can multiply straight across. We get 60 plus 12 is 72/5. Now we need to figure out how many times 5 goes into 70. I believe that's 14 times. And there's 2 left over. Now if you don't know how many times 5 goes into 72, set it up for long division. There's no problem with that. I'm able to do it mentally, but if you need to set it up for long division, go for it. 5 goes into 7 once. You subtract 5. We have 2 left over. 5 goes into 22 4 times. You subtract 20. And then you put remainder over divisor. And you get 14 and 2/5 either way. All right, let's keep working on this process. Times e plus e. And we're going to put 8 over 1. 24 plus 5 is 29 sixths times 8 over 1. And this is where it does get a little bit more complicated, and you might need to set up some scratch work off to the side, which is fine. I'm going to set up 29 times 8. 8 times 9 is 72. 16 plus 7 is 23. So you have 232 sixths. Now this is definitely a moment where you're going to need to use some long division here to figure out how many times 6 goes into 232. Okay. 6 goes into 23 3 whole times. That gets you to 18. That difference there is 5. Bring down the 2. 6 goes into 52 8 times. Subtract 48. You have 4. Remainder over divisor. So it's 38. So this is equal to 38 and 4/6, which is equal to 38 and 2/3, because we're going to want to simplify that final answer. And we can get a ballpark. We can make sure that this is reasonable, that we're, hitting the nail on the head. If it was just 4 times 8, let's say there was no fraction piece. Let's say it was just 4 times 8, you would get 32. But you have 4 and a little bit more, so it's going to be more than 32. Is 38 and 2/3 more than 32? Yes, it is. So that sounds reasonable. Sounds like we nailed it. All right, let's do a few more together. So we need to times e plus e, and we're going to put the whole number over 1. So we're 9 plus 1 is 10 thirds times 6 over 1. And we get 60 over 3, which 3 goes into 60 20 whole times. And again, we can kind of estimate, because if we have 3 times 6, you get 18, and it's going to be a little bit more than 18. 20 is a little bit more than 18. 10 over 1 times, so let's see, 10 over 1 times 35 plus 1 is 36 sevenths. Multiply straight across, we get 360 sevenths. Set up your long division. 360 divided by 7. That goes in 5 times, minus 35. 1, bring down the 0. That goes in once. Minus 7 is 3, so 3/7. So this is 51 whole times and 3/7 remaining, remainder over divisor. And the last one together. And again, let's make sure this makes sense. You had 10 times 5 and a little bit more. Well, 10 times 5 is 50. And if we're multiplying by a little bit more, it's going to be a little bit more than 50. That's a little bit more than 50, so it sounds reasonable. All right, last one together, and then I want you to complete the backside on your own, and you can check your answers on my notes on the website. Times z plus c, we get 16 plus 1 is 17 halves times 7 over 1. Multiply straight across, you get 70 plus 49 is 119 over 2. Now we have to figure out how many times 2 goes into 119, so let's set up some long division. Goes in 5 times, minus 10 is 1, bring down the 9. 2 goes into 19. 9 times minus 18 is 1.5. So that is 59 whole times and 1/2 left over. Put remainder over divisor, fraction route. Oops, sorry. So we put the remainder over the divisor. That's 59.5. Let's check and make sure it's reasonable. If it was just 8 times 7, we would get 56. But this is going to be 8 times 7 and a little bit more. So it's going to be a little bit more than 56. 59.5 is a little bit more than 56. So go ahead and try the backside on your own. Again, let me recap how you do it. You turn your mixed number into an improper fraction. You have that skill already. Put your whole number over 1, multiply straight across, turn back into a mixed number. These are all skills that you already have. It just is a certain progression, a certain order that you have to now apply your skills.